Okay, so he's bet it's a limp pot, while Luigi's bet 13 to 60. And what do I do here? I make it 80. I think that's fine. I haven't got a great kicker, but I have the flush draw in case he has me outkicked. And yeah, there's nothing I'm really in bad shape against apart from a jack with a better diamond, which he's just not going to have that much of the time. And he clicked it back, which I think is kind of interesting. Here's an interesting spot because, and I could be wrong about this, I'm interested to see what other people think, but my reasoning went like this, that once he does this, he's either has a hand where he's definitely going all in, or it's a complete bluff. I think on monotone boards, especially ones with two semi-high cards semi-connected, people aren't clicking it back versus check raise on this board with air. Hardly ever, like it just doesn't happen. So he either has some sort of draw, which he's going with, so like a queen 9 with the queen of diamonds, something like that, or he has a jack, or he has an 8 that he's going with, like a king 8 to queen 8. Excuse me. So against that range, I think calling is best, because he either has a main hand or a draw. If a diamond comes on the turn, and he bets again, why would he turn a made hand into a bluff? I have the best hand if he has a made hand without a diamond, and if he goes all in, he was either bluffing on the flop, which I've already said I think is very unlikely, and he's continued on the turn, again even more unlikely. Or if it comes 4 flush on the turn and he has a made hand, like a jack 9 or something with the 9 of spades, then he's going to check and try and get to showdown. So either way, I kind of feel that I get more knowledge on the turn, and if he goes all in, then I'm getting it in anyway on a blank turn, so it doesn't make a difference, and this just helps me get a bit more information and actually play my hand perfectly against him. So I call because I can rep a lot of things like draws and stuff here, and also I don't really expect him to bluff on a 4 flush board ever. Now the queen comes, and I have 200 behind with 320 in the pot. He's not going to be shoving a queen for value here, like no one would do that. Maybe a very small percentage of time, but I don't expect that to happen. So now once he bets, I think we can comfortably fold, because I expect him just to have a better diamond the vast majority of the time. And I go ahead and fold. I'm very happy with that. I think that's just a spot where you can go on the flop. A lot of people would look at it and say, well, I have top pair and a flush draw, he's clicked back, all in. I think the way I played it actually gives me a chance to get away and save 200 chips, which would have lost otherwise. Top left is a very lame situation. He raises my lead. Once someone checks back that flop, the 2 king 9 jack board. Sorry, we got a lot of action here. I think their range is going to be a lot of 9x, not that many king x. Occasionally a queen jack or a jack 10 or something like that, and maybe some ace highs, 2x's, things like that. So I think the vast majority of his hands are going to be able to be folded out by 2, just because we're going to rep so many hands. And with the flush draw, so I'm happy to bet 60 on the turn, then it would be 240, I bet 190 on a lot of rivers. Almost 100% of rivers against an unknown player, and expect them to fold a lot. But he raises, and this is a really horrible spot, because it's 120 to win, 360, and there's a bit more behind, and it's really close, and I wasn't sure what to do because I have the flush draw, which is about 18%, plus the gut shot, which is an extra 9%, but you can't count all of that because there's a chance he's a queen 10, so I'm drawing dead to the straight, so maybe add an extra 5% to that. So my equity is about 23% or something, I'd guess. I think it's really close. I think folding here is fine. But for you guys, because I know you're all river rats, I decided to peel one off and see what happens. And we bink. He's probably not going to ever bluff there, and he's probably going to call off if he has anything for 17 to 480. He needs to be good, like any unknown player is always going to call there. Okay, we'll finish up with this hand. I'll just rewind and then we'll call it a video. Hopefully get some interesting spots here. Okay, so it's a limp pot. I elected to limp. We don't know how this guy plays against limps, and so I just decided to see it out, to try it out against him. It could be better. It could be a better play shallow than raising a lot of hands, so it's definitely worth experimenting and seeing what works against different players. We hit the open ender on the flop, so we're going to c-bet and get it in against check raise. Just wait for the table to clear. So we're on the turn, and he leads 13 to 120. So this is another interesting spot. I think with stacks so shallow, he's always getting in with a 7 that beats us. He never really has an 8, because I think people always check raise the 8 there. And then the rest of the hands he have are some 6x, occasionally a 3x, maybe a wacky hand like a king 9, which he called on the flop. He's turned an open ender and wants to buy cheap showdown, something like that. So against that range, I'm quite happy to call because, you know, we have a draw, we have a pair, there are a lot of great rivers for us, and yes, we could have an awkward decision on the river, but they're 2 flush draws out. So I think calling here and just seeing the river and what happens, and hopefully giving him a chance to make a big mistake is probably our best option. The river's queen of diamonds. There's an interesting spot to follow up here, to finish with. We'll see what he does first. He shoves. I think the first thing to think about here is, why would someone min-bet the turn and then overshove the river? The board there is wet enough, so if he did have a draw, like an open-ender or a flush draw, the pot was kind of a good size for him just to overbet shove there, and I think a lot of people would. And generally when people make a really small bet on the turn and bet big on the river, it's generally quite a strong indicator. So things we beat. I just don't think many fish here are going to turn an open-ended straight draw into a bluff here. In this way, it just doesn't feel... I mean, they might. They definitely wouldn't turn a 3 or a 6 into a bluff. I mean, that's very rare to see a recreational player do. So, I think the hands he could have are something like a king 9 or something like that. I think there are a lot of 2-pair combos that he could possibly have. Then there's like things like 4-5, and then the flush, and then a missed heart draw, which there are not that many combos of. So I think it's close, but I think here, everything I know about him, we've played 5 hands. He hasn't 3-bet me once, and we have no indication to know that he's a maniac. I think that we can get away with folding there. And we'll see what I do in games. I think it's interesting. See me thinking. I went with the fold. Okay guys, so the video is a little longer than I anticipated, but I hope you learned something good from it. Let me know in the forums what you think, any feedback, and any questions. I'll be happy to get back to you. So take it easy and run good at the tables. Cheers guys, bye.